Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This film is rated M for supernatural themes and violence. This is Keys Reviews and this is my review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is packed with epic loads of fun, and while it's definitely predictable with an obvious imbalance between its two halves, it doesn't do much to improve upon the first film, but does a great job at being a decent sequel. The comedy may not always work as it has a large variety of the types of jokes used, such as dark comedy, goofy comedy, and sometimes forced comedy, but it all comes together and still captures the laughter at times like the first film. Undeniably, this is a really fun film to get through, and it certainly delivers some brilliant sequences. While the dialogue is hard to adjust to given the subject matter and the real age of the characters, it can set you off, but that's not the fault of the movie because that's how Shazam and the other superheroes are supposed to be written, but its undertone of Billy Batson's growing maturity is what shines in this outing for the DC universe. It carries on from the first film well, and while it initially leaves a lot of plot holes that make no sense for the first half hour, it does circle back to fill in the gaps between the first movie and this one. Regardless of how corny, cheesy, and ridiculously over the top this can be, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is worth the watch. A big issue I had with the first Shazam film was its rushed third act, as it had built up the villain excessively to the point where there were only 40 minutes or so left in the runtime to fully flesh out the rivalry between the hero and the villain. However, that's also an issue for Shazam 2 because the first hour is great and provides a really solid story with themes that convey over from its predecessor, but for the final hour and 20 minutes, all it becomes is a combination of overused CGI visual effects and mindless continuous action that plays out a lot like Black Adam. While mindless action is good to a certain extent, too much of it makes it feel unexciting and as if there's no attachment to really be had, and unfortunately it made the runtime stretch out to 130 minutes when it could have been cut down to a nicer, concise film that runs for 100 minutes or so. If it wasn't so indulgent in its action sequences and cut some of it out, my score probably would be higher. Zachary Levi was once again hilarious and phenomenal in the role of Shazam, and I really do hope that after the two post-credit scenes that the reset of the DC universe doesn't erase this storyline or Levi as Shazam, because this potential trilogy is worth holding on to and properly completing. However, my biggest issue with Shazam! Fury of the Gods aren't the heroes, but the villains. Since Helen, Mirren and Lucy Liu didn't commit to their roles as seriously as everybody else, they stood out as really lackluster performances and were the main contribution to the negative aspects of the film. They never grew a connection to the audience, and because they're so polarizing, they felt like B-grade villains, so whenever they were on screen, all you could long for is more superhero action or thematic resonance in the story. To have the villains be as disappointing as they are, you don't feel the stakes of their villainy until the final third of the movie. I really enjoyed seeing David F. Sandberg once again pull elements from his other projects into the sequel, much like he did with the first film, utilising horror aspects and pushing the M rating limit with some squeamish imagery that you wouldn't typically see in superhero films. It seemed that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness pushed the limit far enough, but with Shazam! Fury of the Gods, it went that extra step and made for an interesting advancement in pushing the boundaries of typical superhero films. While its first half is full of witty comedy and heaps of fun, the second half of Shazam! Fury of the Gods is literally only focused on CGI and action, so it lets down the quality of the film. However, this is never a boring film to watch as it provides a really fun, entertaining and enjoyable experience with some great humour and retains most of the heart created in the first film, and even though it never reaches the emotional impact of its predecessor, it still resonates enough to get through to its audience. Despite Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren acting as if it's an easy paycheck for them, which it is, Zachary Levi and the rest of the cast commit to their roles enough to outshine the villains, and it's a lot of fun to see them continue on the humour and wit of the first movie. Within such a rocky DC universe that is about to hit the reset button, I can only hope that Shazam gets a fully fleshed out trilogy, as the post-credit scenes are too good to not continue, and it'd be a real letdown to get rid of Levi as Shazam, as he's literally made for this role. Overall, this film proved to be much better than its promotional material and offered a great time to be had in the cinemas, so I'll give Shazam! Fury of the Gods a 6 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram for all of my latest movie reviews. This has been Keys Reviews, signing off for now.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.